There's a new JITO proposal out. It's very exciting. I think it's going to be having a huge amount of actual plus EV for the JTO token and the entirety of JITO Labs. And it's up for governance, but I don't understand it fully. But fortunately, I have Nelek here from MetaDAO, and he's going to explain it. So quickly, Nelek, how are you? Who are you before we dive into understanding this proposal?
Yeah, hey there, I'm Kollan. Work as co-founder of MetaDAO, help create the future of governance over there. Have been working with the JITO team, working with validators, working with Solana governance for a number of years now. And before that, I was into market making and on-trade trading strategies. And with MetaDAO, we have created the JITO's first decision market, and excited to talk about that.
Awesome. Well, let me bring up the screen because this will make it clearer for everybody. So first, if you're not following MetaDAO, very bullish on MetaDAO. Anything that Kollan touches, to be honest, I'm bullish. Guys are a giga genius. This is a MetaDAO project. And then the website's metadao.fi. JITO DAO is one of the organizations that's part of Furtachy, and multiple, many organizations can join. And by the time this goes live, or by the time this video comes out, there will be a proposal here. So we'll talk through that. In order to understand governance, you're probably familiar as an end user. You just go to a website in like Dupe and you go yes, no, whatever. But governance with Furtachy is far more interesting. And in particular, you go to JITO.network for theirs governance. This opens up initially Realms DAO, which is where they made this proposal. It passed, and now this is where I'd love you to take us through what exactly this is and what it means.
Yeah, so JITO had their governance established before MetaDAO existed. They existed as a DAO, and that goes back to token voting and what we've had with traditional on-chain governance. So Realms is the equivalent of Snapshot on Ethereum, and we created a proposal for the JITO DAO to use decision markets, Futarchy, to make the determination on whether or not JTO should be used as collateral within the NCN network that JITO has created. And we can go into what NCNs are, what restaking is there. But in summary, what I think people should take away from this is using JTO as collateral now gives people that own JTO the opportunity to stake that JTO within this network and earn rewards for securing the network, similar to like Solana staking or any other proof of stake network. And that's the way that I would cap this out. The proposal is suggesting that at least for one NCN in particular, to use JTO as collateral to secure that network.
Awesome. So now we're just not just ticking a box, yes or no, and now we're actually starting to, well, we vote on with our governance, but we also now have reward upside and actual utility to the governance token. That basically sum it up?
Yeah. So this is the first step in JITO governance with JTO token to provide some utility to JTO.
Awesome. So if you want to find this website yourself, it's very easy. Just go to JITO Foundation and then just click on restaking. And then there's a couple of websites here, but I guess just starting back here, like what is an NCN?
Yeah, I mean, you can see it right there, node consensus networks. And it's fundamental to restaking. So if people are familiar with EigenLayer, like I myself, there are so many depths to this blockchain technology and what people are building and how these things work. I scratch the surface of much of it. So here we have some of these NCNs that have been suggested or are in progress or under development. Tip router is the specific one that we have created a proposal for here. And this is the system that manages all the validator tips for validators running the JITO Solana client and earning MEV rewards from people that participate in searching and MEV extraction.
Yeah, and I think most people should understand this. And if you don't understand it, I can just illustrate this with dupe.ag. Like when you're trying to get through a transaction of like a new meme coin or whatever, quite often what you'll do is you'll make sure that there's a priority fee, but there's also a JITO fee. So you're actually paying a little bit more in order to get that transaction through. And if you just like you or I, not you, Colin, but like the average person out there, you may set it quite low, but quite often, like an arbitrage bot that finds a really good opportunity, they could spend 500 Sol in a transaction as a tip. It could be quite sizable. And to sum it up, we did see down here this really good graphic, which we can just blow up and maybe make this a little bit more visual. But there's maybe you know this, Colin, but JITO tips, this is $2.4 billion, like over what kind of period?
So I think that this is over a year period right now, but you can actually look up the total tips distribution. I'll have to get the link to the website, but there's a website that shows all the MEV tips as they go through. And I think an important thing there is if you're the validator that creates that or gets that bundle, the JITO bundle for that transaction, that the person that's tipping or providing that 500 Sol goes to that validator, right? And the stakers in that validator as well. So that's the flow through there. So when people are tipping high amounts, and you can see 2.4 billion in this example, large portion of that goes to the Solana validator themselves, and then the stakers in that validator and the LST pools and anything else that's there.
Exactly. And you need to make sure whoever you're staking with, be it validator.com or whoever, ensure that they don't have a high percentage on the MEV tips. There are some validators that take all of the MEV tips, so you don't claim any. And MEV is amazing and crazy, and which makes JITO probably one of the most exciting technologies around. And in fact, at Breakpoint last year, when I was speaking to founders and people on teams, I asked if you weren't working for this protocol that you currently are, who would you like to work for? Pretty much most people either said like Jupe or JITO. They're that goated. So in summary, 97% of the tip goes to the validators. Validators normally take a small commission, then the stakers get a little bit, or they get the vast majority. And then how this new proposal is 0.15% will go to the JITO Sol Vault, which is the stakers. This is a different system and node operators. And a little bit extra, or the 0.15%, will also go to the JTO Vault, those people that are providing the JTO as like they're staking the JTO. And then 2.7% goes to the JITO Network Treasury, and that's the DAO that runs everything and whatnot. This is essentially the proposals how it stands right now. Is that correct, Colin?
That's correct. So it's ultimately what they're carving out on this proposal is that bottom chunk. So 15 basis points or 0.15% is going to now go to JTO Vault, which means you can use your JTO deposit in the vault and earn additional rewards from the JITO tips. We see upline to the left. JITO tips is where that revenue or those rewards are coming from.
Awesome. And so if we have a look here, the vaults right now, not all of them you can enter because they've got a capped amount, but you can see it just says accepts JITO Stake Sol. This one accepts a couple of other ones, but what we're going to see once this passes is also accepts JTO as an example. And then we can cover this in another video if required, but essentially my understanding is you'd go and add your JTO, and then once you've added to the vault, it's going to start, earning a small amount of all that revenue. Is that
Correct?
right?
Correct. Yep.
Cool. And then in terms of the operators are not all of the validators. The node operators are specific teams that are actually helping secure the tip link,
The
tip
tip
router.
router. The tip
Yeah.
router.
Sorry, you have a tip router, not tip link. So that's all. That's all of these validators. So that's a reality. So I guess if you have JTO, you definitely want to go and vote on this proposal. I guess maybe you can say something, maybe you can't. You are, connected to Furtachy, MetaDAO. You're connected to JITO, so you may not. If you want to say something, that's fine. But I personally think this is very good for the price of JTO. In my opinion, long term, and does give some sort of utility in addition to the governance.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think our thesis at MetaDAO is that markets make better decisions than people. We really appreciate JITO for believing in that vision and taking this. It's not just through the delegates that voted on this. I was one of the delegates because this proposal is so interconnected with me. I didn't use my delegated allocation to vote on it, but there's 14 of us, and this could have easily been passed through a governance proposal. But taking to the market and giving many stakeholders an opinion on whether this is a useful application of JTO, I think is really interesting and really forward thinking here. And if we can continue to do that, then you start to skirt the accountability. We don't need 14 delegates that need to make sure that quorum's reached or these other things. You just need to take it to market, and people will have more input through that rather than just a straight yes/no vote. And so I think that that's going to be quite interesting for people. And I do think that it's value accretive to JTO. So I think, trading this proposal for people participating in this as their first decision market, I think that there's plenty of opportunity to explore this, and it will be really exciting for people to see them use the interface, to use Futarchy maybe for their first time. And we're here to get all the feedback, improve the product, make sure that when JITO DAO has additional proposals or different decisions they want to make, that this is where they come to do it and where other people come to do it. So we're really excited for that.
I am too. And I think we need to do a tutorial maybe as soon as this is released on Monday, just kind of showing how this is done. But if that's okay with you.
Yep. I'd love to do that and walk people through the user experience, user interface here. I'd love to hear people's feedback. If anybody has any questions in the meantime, happy to address those in our Discord.
Awesome. And just as maybe a little bit of an overview, this is maybe using drifts as an example. Essentially, I'll say it and you let me know if I got it right, and we will do a tutorial. But the really cool thing about this is we're not just coming and just going with what we want, Otherwise, we would go and pass a proposal saying, give us, a 20% every month staking rate or something, and they would come from the treasury, that would pass, and then the price of JTO would go down, but enough votes, if it moved into it would pass. I'm not referring to JITO, I'm just referring to like a bad governance decision. Whereas how Furtachy's done, and this is very cool, it's done based on, you've got the price when it starts. The gray line is the price of the asset. This is the price of drift. And then you've got the green line, which is the approval price when people start to kind of bid up that conditional market. The red line is the rejection price, another conditional market. And ultimately, traders get to decide what happens to the conditional markets. And the one that wins is the one that resolves, and that's where you get your tokens. And the really cool thing is, it's, this is where like trading, like being financially motivated actually works. And we saw this, we've seen this time and time again. And I think I'm going to confuse people a little bit until I actually just we put out this tutorial. So did I get anything wrong there, Colin?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there, right? Like there's financial opportunity to make money on these proposals, fundamental to markets. And if you make money on proposals, right, you're allocating resources to good decision makers. And if you lose money on proposals, then you're allocating, like how long until you can't participate in the market anymore. And I think that that's important because that drives good decision making because you have skin in the game. Whereas token voting, you may not have any skin in the game outside of just holding your assets. So it can be far more active for people. And I think that that's what's fundamentally interesting about this.
Awesome. Well, thank you for explaining and making it clear for all of us. The next step is watch the tutorial, which will be linked above, and then go vote with your JTO. Go vote, decide what you want to do. If you want it to pass or fail, you get to decide, and then we'll go from there.